This is the 2024 Dodge Hornet RT, and it's based on the Alfo Romeo Tonale. It's got functional hood scoops, a lovely exhaust burble, a temporary overboost mode, and it will go 32 miles on electricity alone. So today I'm going to review it and see what all the fuss is about. So Dodge has always had a pretty good sense of humor. They brought us some pretty wild cars along the way, but that's pretty difficult these days while we're trying to save the planet. So instead of a typical boring crossover, Dodge has taken the Alfo Romeo Tonale and Dodgified it and created this 2024 Dodge Hornet RT. So this Tester was supposed to have blue steel paint. Remember Derek Zoolander's famous stare? But instead I think they brought me something which is much more Hornetish, Acapulco gold. It looks more like a Hornet than a Hornet. I think it's a pretty car too. It really looks quite nice, and for size comparisons with say a RAV4 Prime, it's a little bit smaller. It's 2 inches in the wheelbase less than that car. It's 4 inches shorter in height, and it weighs 200 pounds less, which is always a good thing. So at the front it gets these functional hood scoops, nothing worse than a fake hood scoop in my opinion. And it also gets this aggressive Dodge-like narrow face. You also get these Hornet badges on each of the door sills. This Tester has the GT black top package, so that includes black around the windows, black on the mirror housings, and black Hornet badging. This one has the track package, which comes with these really nice 20-inch wheels. They're 235/40 tires. They're Michelin Pilot all-season 4s, a great tire. And you also get Brembo brakes with red painted calipers. So the front suspension system is a McPherson system. It's got Koni shock absorbers and adaptive damping. At the rear you get Chapman suspension with a rear stabilizer bar, the same Koni FSD shock absorbers and adaptive damping. At the back it looks pretty good too. You get these blacked out Hornet badges and real exhaust outlets at the back, not hidden underneath the bumper. Let's see how it sounds. So at the back you get a powered liftgate. So you get a little bit less space than on the GT. That has about 27 cubic feet of space with the seats up. This one, due to the battery placement, you get around 23. If you put those seats down though, you get around 54.7 cubic feet. It's a bit less than the segment average though, so don't expect to go on massive camping trips. And under here, no spare wheel and a charger. So in the GT model, you get a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo. It's good for 268 horsepower, 295 foot-pounds of torque. That one is driven through a 9-speed automatic transmission. This one, a bit more complicated. It's technically a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid. So you get a 1.3-liter turbo 4, tiny engine. It's got 177 horsepower, 199 foot-pounds of torque, but it's augmented by 2 electric motors, one on the rear, one here, and that gives you a combined 288 horsepower, 383 foot-pounds of torque. Now that's driven through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now those numbers include what Dodge is calling power shot. Pull back on both of the paddle shifters and you get an additional 30 horsepower. 0 to 60 takes around 5.6 seconds, pretty close to the regular 2-liter gas model. So how much is all this? Well, base prices start at a little under $45,000, but add in the black top pack, the tech pack, and the track pack, and you're pretty much out the door around $52,000. So you pay a price for how small this car is. There's not a whole lot of legroom. This chair is almost in the position that I would drive in. That one obviously is, but creature comforts, it's not bad. The only real downside is you can't move the seat back up and down, but you do get your own vents and you do get some power and you do get a nice cup holder, and the materials quality is actually pretty good, and I do like the design. I like what they've done on the interior. Very nice. A little bit of Italian flair going on. Really nice 3-spoke wheel. I like this design of the center console. The seats, they've got Alcantara on the base. Hug your legs, hug you up here. Very comfortable, maybe a little hard. And the driving position is really nice. Both seats get multi-way power, and you also get memory as well. Overall quality is also very good. Some of these plastics are very nice quality, especially on the dash here. There's a little bit of harder plastic at the top and further down, but that would be expected in most cars. All in all, very nice. So first off, in the center stack, you get a kind of a small screen, but it's not a bad screen. It's a little bit far from a reach perspective, but it works. It's decently quick. Got heated seats on this car. You don't get cooled seats on this one. It's easy to pair your phone. You can go into vehicle. You can see your surround sound camera. Check your surroundings. All works pretty well. You also get, how many kilowatts the engine's using, how much of the battery you're using. We're sitting here just using the AC. When you start this, it by default is in regular mode, not sport mode. You have to keep pressing the sport button every single time you start the vehicle. And then you've got some screens here that show you, trip, technical gauges, oil temp, driver heat off, etc., etc. It's not bad. Below that, you get some cool looking sporty vents. And then these are your temperature controls along here, all physical buttons. I really like that. Engine start, stop, and then that sport button. It's quiet now, but once you hit the sport button, the little 1.3 motor comes to life. So what I like here is the charger is huge. It charges through my case, and it's canted towards the driver. So if you're using maps on your phone, it's easy to read. Perfect. Above that, you got a little bit of power and a 12 volt. Dodge gives you a physical little wheel for volume, and then there's your parking brake, and then a proper shifter, up and down shifter, and then you can move it to the left and operate the paddle shifters. I'll show you that in a second. And then a decent little storage space in the center armrest. So on the wheel, we get various different controls: volume, change track, etc. Your phone, you can change the pages on the screen ahead of the driver, which is the digital display. And you also get your cruise control mode here. And you also get eDrive mode. So when you push the eDrive mode button, which gives you 3 modes: hybrid, electric, and eSave. So eSave will basically save the battery. Hybrid is pretty standard for me. I've been driving in hybrid most of the time. And then electric only, that gives you up to 32 miles of range, and you can go up to 84 miles an hour without the gas engine kicking in. And then one of my favorite things are these massive paddle shifters. They kind of a little bit get in the way of the indicator stalk and the wiper stalk, but they're attached to the steering column and not the wheels, so they don't move when you go around corners. It's the only way to have paddle shifters, in my opinion. So ahead of the driver, you get whatever fuel range you have left, including your battery combined range. You've got 31 miles of electric and approximately 108 with gas, so 139 total. Here you've got your speedo right here, miles an hour in the middle. This is how I have it configured. When you're driving, it'll show you which you're using. Are you using gas engine or are you using electric? And then on the right-hand side, it'll show my average MPG, which is not very good, 16.7, but we have been driving it pretty hard. So I must say, all in all, I do like how this is laid out. Things are easy to find. There are several physical buttons. There's also this display. It's a little busy, as is the one in front of the driver, but you can configure it. I think it all works really well, and it's in keeping with this crossover's sporty nature. All right, let's take it for a drive and see how it goes. So we're going to be in sport mode here, and off we go. Pretty quick off the line. It does ride quite firm in sport mode, but it also holds the road pretty well in sport mode. Steering's a little heavier. Man, this thing is quicker than you would expect. I mean, 383 foot-pounds of torque combined. That's more than a lot of cars. Handles really well. It doesn't feel like a Dodge. First impressions are, it definitely feels like it's got its DNA from Italy, which it basically has. They shipped them in from Italy, and it's essentially an Italian car. All right, floor it. Now this does have a maximum speed of 118 miles an hour, probably faster than you want to go anyway. That's because it's limited, not to the tires, but for the electric motors. If you get the GT version, which has a little bit less torque, similar power, you get a top speed of about 145. All right. It's pretty tenacious in the turns. I mean, these are all seasons. It's dry today. I'd prefer them to be summer tires, but they're performing really quite well. Now, as I said, this is a 6-speed. The electric motors sort of fill the gaps, so it doesn't need any more ratios, and there really isn't any lag. Off the line, even on partial throttle, the electric motors kick in, and then you floor it and the gas engine kicks in. So you can hustle this thing quite well. It is a tall riding vehicle though. You notice that when you step out and there's a little bit of a drop. Driver sits high. That's kind of what people want though these days in crossovers. I don't. If this engine was in a sedan and it was 200-300 pounds lighter, it would be epic. That said, as a crossover, this is probably one of the quickest I've driven. All right, that was a good little run. So the seats are really comfortable, firm, good bolstering. They hold you in nicely. This one has heated seats, not cooled seats. The heated seats, and it's good because it's winter, I can test them out. The heated seats are really good. Dodge seems to have done a really good job with heated seats on their vehicles. The Jeeps are really good. That Chrysler 300C that I drove recently, I had to turn them down. They were so hot. This one, not as hot, but they are really nice. So we've got almost a full tank of gas. The gas tank is quite small. I noticed that when I filled it up. I think I could only get like 8 or 9 gallons into it, and then obviously, so your range when it's full, depending on how you've been driving, is about 170 to 180 miles, and then you've got another 31 miles, so you get a combined number in the dash, but it's still not a lot. I mean, you might be filling up a lot on a road trip if you're driving it the way I am. Steering is good too. You know, what do we want? Turn the wheels move, right? No play, no sluggishness, good feel. And then these Brembos, typically hybrid brakes are a little dodgy sometimes, the feel-wise. These are good. Initial bite is good. Full stops, emergency stops are really good. So I definitely commend these Brembos on this car. This test has done quite a few miles, and it's probably been in the hands of people like me that have driven it quite hard. And it has developed a little bit of a little rattle right there. This person's letting me go by. It's very helpful. Thank you very much. So passing maneuvers are a doddle in this because all that torque is literally almost always available. And yeah, being a little turbocharged car too, the electric motors can take charge, turbo spins up, and off you go. easily past that big truck. So in a couple of minutes we're going to turn off onto more of a sort of a truck trail. There might be a little bit of mud. Just test it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the sport. Because there's only two modes. It's either sport on or sport off. So we'll go into sport off mode because that'll give me a slightly more compliant suspension. And the road is a little bit rutted in places. And we'll be running mainly on the battery at that point. All right, turn off sport. Go softer on the suspension and off we go. Well, it's a little bumpy, but so far so good. So we've got 30 miles of electric only range. We're not going to get too far into here, so we won't use much of that up, but it's nice and quiet. All right, getting a little bit more rickety down here. A little bit rutted here from the recent rains, slightly muddy. Does sound pretty good, the little 1.3. Small water hazard ahead. Nothing that's going to upset this car. This bit of road's not too bad. A few ruts. Another little stream flowing across in front of the car here. I see through that. Up to the top of this particular mountain. Trail of dust behind us. And then let's go ahead and head back down and replenish some of the electrons in the battery. So what do we think? Well, the Hornet is a hoot to drive, and that torque is addictive. It's a ton of torque for a small car like this. Couple of problems: it does ride high, it feels kind of tall, and it doesn't have the handling that a lower sedan would have. But it's a great little crossover, and probably one of the fastest that you can currently buy on the market. The problem is the price, $52,000. That's a lot of money. This car should be down at least $10,000 less. And it is, if you get the GT one. If I were going to choose, and I didn't need EV only range, which I don't, I get the GT and save that $10,000 because that is a lot of gas. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time with another video.